In this video, I'm going to highlight 9 tiny RWA cryptos that have the potential to 100x in 2025 and early 2026. Huge companies like STM.co, valued at 19 billion on the stock market, are predicting RWA gets to $50 trillion by 2030. Personally, I think it's the only crypto sector that can outperform artificial intelligence in the upcoming altcoin season. We can see this by the strength of Ondo, the best performing RWA crypto so far of this year. Just look at that performance. We only see green on this chart, despite the fact that altcoins have been absolutely battered over the last year or two. Bitcoin and altcoins are yet to reach that euphoria and hype stage. We've not even come out of the blue, let alone green, on the rainbow log chart for Bitcoin. Historically, in the last cycles, we at least got to orange, which if we got to in this cycle would mean over 300k for Bitcoin. So now is the time to be doing the research into these tiny cryptos, building your conviction and checking out all of the utility in different sectors. Now, I'm not going to waste any more of your time, guys. Just sign up with BITUNIX in the description below. Come and join us in my free Discord server, and kindly go and subscribe to my second crypto channel if you want daily Bitcoin analysis updates and live streams. Let's jump straight into the content, guys. No time to waste. Let's make some money. Real world assets are absolutely booming this year. It's one of the top 2 strong sectors alongside AI. We have 23.9 billion total RWA on-chain assets. You can see there has just been a parabolic gain since 2022 when RWAs really came as a thing in the crypto space. You can see that exponential growth with almost $250 billion total stable coin value in the RWA sector already. Now, just quickly before we jump into these 9 RWA coins that have the potential to 100x that you need to be researching, let me just spend the best part of 30 seconds showing you where Bitcoin is right now. So Bitcoin is currently sat at $104,000. We had a significant drop due to the tension between those two countries that I don't want to mention, but we've bounced back very strong. Now, I saw this fractal this morning. You're probably thinking this is a crazy chart. What am I looking at? Let me just quickly explain this, guys. You can see this is the bull market support bands running right here. We have dropped below this a couple of times. This was, the FTX crash that we had the Japan carry trade, the Trump tariffs, causing price action to drop below these bull market bands, offering us a nice buying opportunity. But I've spotted a fractal here that's very interesting. Look at these 3 points of contact on the support that forms under the bands, followed by a consolidation period just below the major resistance before we see an explosive move to the upside for Bitcoin. So we could be seeing an insane move brewing for Bitcoin in the short to also medium term, guys. So make sure you pay attention. The first RWA tiny crypto is Centrifuge, CFG, 96 million market cap. This is the largest crypto on this list. So yes, it might not have the potential to see 100x gains, although if we do see some of these price predictions of $50 trillion for the RWA sector in the next 5 years, it's still possible for coins like this if they get enough adoption. Now, Centrifuge is working with these big finance companies out in the real world with their assets like invoices, mortgages, supply chain financing. Think anything to do with debt fueling these big finance companies. Centrifuge is aiming to tokenize that and bring it on chain. They already have a working platform, over 1.1 billion total assets already financed, guys. So this is already doing some heavy lifting in the RWA niche. Tokenize your fund with Centrifuge, streamline and accelerate the tokenization of assets and management of funds on chain. And Centrifuge integrates with Solana to launch many of their tokens and works closely on their ecosystem. With an all-time high of $2, with the market cap corresponding to about $500 million, we could see this do a 5x gain in the short to medium term if Bitcoin decides to blast off. Longer term price targets, I think at least $1 billion, maybe $2 billion for a 20x gain is reasonable for Centrifuge. But as mentioned, if you're looking on a more broader time span of 5 years, and we really see some adoption for RWA tokens, and Centrifuge plays a big role in that, we could see this go upwards of a $5, $10, $15 billion market cap. The next RWA tiny coin, guys, is R-Trade with the ticker ATR, $15 million market cap. So now we are really into these tiny cryptos, which gives me a chance to give you a warning and a reminder reminder that a lot of these tokens can rug pull. Think of Luna literally going to zero in the space of a best part of 2 or 3 days, a coin that was worth billions, rug pulling and going to zero. These tiny cryptos can most definitely do that as well. With just under $1 million volume in the last 24 hours, you can see some heavy selling after the token was initially launched. Our trade is playing into the luxury market to do with art and things like Rolexes, luxury timepieces, but mostly they're focusing on things like art, and they're allowing people to actually tokenize and own a small portion of really expensive art pieces. So you can think of a pool coming together, everyone contributing to buy and invest into art and fractionally owning a percentage of that art and holding it for maybe 5-10 years. And when it comes to sell, or they can sell their own initial actual fraction that they own, you can imagine this thing has some insane potential here. I would like to see this crypto R trade do more partnerships and bring a lot more opportunities on their marketplace, guys. So make sure you keep up to date with how their partnerships are going, because for a coin like this to do very well, they will need some huge collaborations and buy some big art pieces that people can actually fractionally own. The next RWA crypto is TokenFi, a 14 million market cap, slightly higher 24-hour volume, $3.5 million. Now, TokenFi was made by the Floki community. $700 million market cap. This is a big meme coin with a huge community, with the market cap highs of over $2 billion. They decided to go and make TokenFi, which is essentially a marketplace and platform where anybody can make their own tokenized assets without having to use any code, empowering the future of tokenization, seamless, affordable, and accessible for everyone. Why settle for slow and costly? Of course, the $16 trillion tokenization revolution awaits. You can see they're building their own launchpad, their token launcher, as we already discussed. They have staking features, and one thing that I love to see is there is literally no red on this chart, so they must have some solid tokenomics, guys. And when this thing breaks that overhead resistance that you guys can see, this thing's going to go parabolic, and obviously we know there's a lower chance this thing can do a rug pull or become a scam because it's backed by the Floki community, which is also very nice to see. But as with anything, this thing might still do something shady. That's the nature of the beast with these small tiny cryptos. But if you're on this side of YouTube, you understand the degenerate side of crypto, but I have to keep reminding you of the risk, guys. Now the next tiny RWA crypto is Proppy with the ticker Pro. Again, slightly higher market cap here, 91 million, with just under 7 million volume in the last 24 hours. Now, Proppy is really focusing on real estate, allowing for automatic property transfers using their smart contracts, AI assisted title and escrow on-chain for real estate. Now, they already have done some huge deals in the UAE, in Europe, and in the US. 3 very strong markets, as you guys can imagine, for the real estate niche. You can see the process here: escrow opened, followed by the Oracle data collected and AI processed. Proppy AI automatically extracts key data from the smart contract and kicks off multiple automations to save people's time. Then obviously securing that payment in dollars or crypto, and then ownership is then settled and essentially tokenized in the country and on chain. You can see they're using Coinbase as their escrow, which personally I disagree with. I don't like Coinbase, but needless to say, it's one of the safer options for big investments and transferring, huge amounts of crypto, because it's very reliable for these institutions, of course. But for retail investors like me, I personally don't like Coinbase. You can see this thing's been heavily accumulated since 2018. It had multiple cycles, but we didn't really see RWA and the actual real estate niche on-chain take off in any of these cycles. So yes, it had some insane rallies from 20 cents to $4 a couple of times, but this is just a multi-year accumulation phase, in my opinion. And take a little peep at that volume down here. You can see people are accumulating in droves recently once they understand that this plays into a niche that's about to take off in crypto. The next crypto, again playing into real estate in the RWA niche, is Propbase with the ticker Props. 9 million market cap, just under $3 million volume. You can see very little red on this chart, painting a very nice overhead resistance yet again, because people are so bullish on RWA. These tokens are basically like a filled beach ball full of of air being pulled underwater, and when that thing's let go, essentially the Bitcoin dominance holding back all of these altcoins lately, when the Bitcoin dominance comes down, many of these tokens, as mentioned, are just going to be like a beach ball underwater that someone's just let go of that flies up, man. I've seen this many times in crypto. I've been here since 2016, and it's the same playbook over and over again. So they're really focusing on Southeast Asia for now, but this actually allows you to tokenize your property whilst keeping full control over the decisions of what happens for your actual property. But you can essentially sell a portion of that, give a portion of the cash flow and yield back to investors, which can really help people to scale their property portfolios. PropBase allows you to buy RWA property through its marketplace, earn rental returns in USD. You can see they're really shipping updates constantly, every single day, posting new collaborations. The fact that it's built on Aptos, which is a very nice emerging ecosystem, layer 1 proof of stake blockchain, similar to Solana, which for a coin with such a low marketplace, really strong social presence like this is absolutely key. The next RWA crypto is Goldfinch, GFI, $57 million market cap, only 700k volume though, and this chart has taken an absolute beating. It's down an insane amount from its all-time high. You can see, unfortunately, it chose the wrong time to launch in the bear market start of the last altcoin season. You can literally see to the T, 2022 was the worst year you could launch a crypto, and that's possibly why this thing has just only been red since it was built as a crypto back then. But you can see the volume down here has been increasing somewhat recently. Now guys, obviously with cryptos like this, we don't know, is this ever really going to go back to its all-time high? But if it does, that's going to be an insane amount of gains. That's a 20x to its all-time high. And obviously, if we see that momentum, this thing would blast much further past that all-time high. The world's leading private credit funds now on chain. So this is allowing investors to access credit, basically using their pools, and they're focusing on emerging markets as well for smaller countries and emerging markets as well. Things like income funds to do with fintech and other emerging markets. You can see an example here of those pools with track records giving you a percentage return as well on the credit. Goldfinch Prime investors access to multi-billion-dollar private credit funds. So they have access to institutional grade credit managers. So this allows them to streamline the process of who can actually borrow credit and take out loans with their platform to access the pools and use that effective credit to go and invest into whatever they choose. You can see they have a total loan repaid of $60 million so far, with 24 closed deals, the last one being in May the 1st of 2025 with 1.3 million total loan amount, status fully repaid. So this was an SME loan in Southeast Asia, and you can see that the fact that they are targeting those debanked sort of countries and emerging markets here with the Africa Innovation Pool. But be careful guys, because there was a default status here on a total loan amount of $10 million. Now I don't know particularly what happened here. I'm sure they'll have a good reason for that, but that just goes to show guys that you need to go and do some bigger, deeper research into some of these cryptos, because this chart does look pretty savage, and I can only imagine that this thing can really have some potential. But who knows, with something like taking out credit, big loans on the blockchain, it's risky, but the upside potential is enormous. So the next crypto is Relio Network with the ticker Rio, $47 million market cap, just under $5 million in volume. Very nice chart. It's been accumulating since that altcoin season. It survived the bear market of 2022. It's had a nice rally from those lows in the mini altcoin season that we saw last year, and it's effectively almost gone back to those bear market lows. So really nice discount on the token right now. Looking at the volume here, you can see it very much did survive that bear market, and we've seen a return of interest for this crypto, which is very crucial for these low caps. Now Relio is basically an agile end-to-end infrastructure for companies and investors to build out their platforms to actually tokenize assets. An interoperable, which is a funny word we see all the time, layer 1 multi-chain ecosystem focused on the issuance and management of RWA assets. As mentioned, it's basically an all-in-one infrastructure for tokenization. They already have almost 70,000 holders, which is insane for a token of such a low market cap with a working platform And I really do like their website, very, very clean. I think it's needless to say there is a big disparity here between this low market cap and the actual appearance, maturity, and what they're offering to the RWA niche. This thing, I don't see why this can't 10, 20x in the short to medium term once Bitcoin gets that lift off we discussed at the start of the video, and of course potentially a 100x if this thing can get to the likes of $4 or $40 billion market cap. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But with the price prediction that we discussed at the start of this video, with a $20 billion coin over on, stock on the stock market, actually predicting $50 trillion market cap for RWA in 2030, you guys can only imagine. The next RWA tiny crypto is $50 million pin link with the ticker PIN. 1.2 million volume in the last 24 hours and only showing green. It launched at a very convenient time at the start of that mini altcoin season close to Christmas of last year and January of this year. So we've not seen any red for this chart and a continuing accumulation volume down here, which is very nice to see. They're focused on bridging traditional finance over to DeFi using RWA tokenization. You can see they're playing into some big sectors: RWA, DePIN, AI, and bringing new developers and asset revenue for the owners. They're targeting institutional adoption with their enterprise grade solution, as mentioned, to basically bridge the gap between bringing these big finance companies out in the real world over into DeFi and allowing them to actually tokenize their assets. I mean, this thing looks very, very good, guys. Price predictions, again, we can speculate, but general rule of thumb, if you're looking for any less than a 20x gain, you're wasting your time, because RWA really has some huge potential here. Of course, we're looking for these 100x gains, but you might have to wait 5 years or so to see those. So we'll really have to see how much adoption the RWA sector gets as a whole. The next crypto is BITUNIX, ticker BKN, market cap $17 million, with the lowest volume we've seen of any token. So make sure you guys do some more research and be careful and only invest what you can afford to lose into these tiny cryptos. This is not financial advice and you can lose all of your money, but BITUNIX is a very good RWA crypto. They're specializing on business equity tokenization, allowing people to actually hold digital shares of the companies, tokenize, trade, and manage any financial instrument. You can see they already have $300 million of total tokenized value, operating in 16 different countries, from fundraising and cross-border payments to efficient asset management. BITUNIX's digital asset suite offers tailored solutions to simplify operations with their enterprise-grade solutions. BITUNIX is offering a comprehensive regulatory suite. Now, BITUNIX is offering a legal framework to use for these big companies that want to come on chain and tokenize and manage their financial instruments, whilst also having all of the regulatory compliance tools to pull this off. And once they actually come on chain with their company, they have basically a streamlined digital shares solution that gives actual dividends back to investors of their company as well, which is very nice to see. I personally think this is heavily undervalued, and some of the volume spikes we see down here by whales is very telling in and of itself. And I think that we could see this get to maybe 2 billion plus market cap, perhaps 10 billion. Again, it matters about how much adoption RWA gets, guys. Think of those big giants like Ondo. You can see Ondo 2.4 billion market cap. So if this thing can get above 100 billion from here, a rising tide raises all ships, guys. But remember, institutions are finally in crypto for the first time. We see them on a big scale buying ETFs. There's a lot more liquidity in the market, so we could see some insane market caps that many really cannot even think is possible in crypto, guys. But that's a wrap for this video. I hope you found this useful. I hope whichever cryptos and RWA tokens you invest into, that I wish you the best of luck, genuinely. Just remember to manage your risk. Don't be too crazy. Make sure you guys click on the screen right now to watch any of my previous videos, and I'll see you in the next one. My name's been Crypto Smith. Peace out.